Hello everyone. So today we're going to learn how to create sectional isometric views or sectional perspective views of green infrastructures with the usage of Google SketchUp, Adobe Photoshop, and Lumion. So let's get into it. So let's start with SketchUp. When in SketchUp, we always tend to use some specific shortcuts. So let's go over them one by one. Hit space for the selection, hit L for line, hit R for rectangle, and hit F for offset. And there are many more and you could customize, but these are the ones that you might need. Just remember that all the stuff begin with their first letter and the shortcuts are kind of like that. So yeah, R for rectangle, stuff like those. So start by drawing a rectangle, and here you can see that I'm typing in 15 feet, then a comma, and then 8 feet. You could do any dimension. I just put those dimension so that you know how to give a dimensional rectangle. And then hit P for push and pull, and you could also give like specific height for that, while in push or pull mode you could just type in the height. So yeah, you could do that, and from this point onward it's just creating rectangles or lines and then pushing or pulling. So I'll just select that line, copy that. So copying is control and then dragging. You could also hit a dimension for copying that and then push it that way a little so that we have a little ridge, and yeah, do that. So let's see if it's okay. And if you have a very specific dimension in mind, just create that. You don't have to follow through this. I'm just showing a very generic GI. So I'm creating a line now for the in-between, and then doing almost the same stuff. You might ask how I drew that red line. So use your arrow keys in the keyboard to draw a line in a very specific axis. So up, down, sorry, up, left, and right draws lines in different axes. Might come in handy when drawing a complex model. So I'm doing the same rectangular push and pull again. That was a mistake, so I just delete that. And then remember to create group or components continuously, otherwise your model will mess up a lot. So hit G and create the component. So here I'll show you how to do the component again. Triple click, hit G and do the create. Triple clicking selects everything that's conjoined together. And to edit a component, just double click on that specific component so that you are only editing that specific component and nothing else. So I'm kind of creating some specific details now. That looks okay. I'll copy that line so that I can put that a bit down. Yeah, now I'm creating a little space for the asphalt. So I do that and do another rectangle for the asphalt layer. So I think that if you create specific components for each specific layers or materials, that will come in really handy bit later on. So this is the specifically GI part. So I'm doing that. There are different layers on this. There should be a layer of water, and then there should be a layer of soil, and on that soil there should be some plants. So yeah, again, component. While working in SketchUp, never forget to create the component. It's a lifesaver, trust me. So yeah, I do that, push it, and then to create a bit more unevenness, I draw a freehand line like that. Drawing freehand might become a bit tedious, but it's worth it, I think. So yeah, I like that. And that kind of concludes our modeling. I'll do some minor details like termination of the pave or so that our material kind of ends at least somewhere, and we have the same material on both sides of the model. So now let's assign the material. You just hit on the material tab and get different materials. You don't need to kind of worry about the scale right now because we're going to take it in Lumion anyway. So just assign different materials that would represent different layers, and then I suggest editing all of them in Lumion altogether. Don't worry about their looks at this point. Even assigning solid colors would have been fine. So yeah, assign materials. So that doesn't look so good, so I'll just create one more line. Yeah, now that works. It's not important what you put at this point, but I'll like OCD. Alright, that works. I'll put the same material over here. So to get the same material, you could always click on B and then hit Alt to pick the same material. So for this, I forgot to create the component, so yeah. And let's create a water layer as well on both sides. Yeah, so this would be our water. And let's assign the soils. Yeah, that works for now. All right. Now let's bring everything into Lumion. So now we need to bring our SketchUp model into Lumion, and let's do that. So hit import in Lumion and then give the file path. This is our file right here. Double click on it, and you can organize in a category folder or something like that, but I'll just keep it into main, and I'll just name it GI underscore SKP, and I'll just do one more underscore and hit 1 because I'm gonna bring multiple, and then hit OK. And now we need to place it right here. So from here we can see that our model is successfully imported. Now we need to kind of work a bit more on the materials. So I'll hit on the materials tab right here and then click on each material and assign them something realistic so that our render looks awesome. So I'll go into outdoor right here and hit on the asphalt of Lumion and then see what works best. It's kind of like your choice on what you want to do, but like try to make it a bit more interesting. So yeah, that works. And now we need to give the soil some materials and of course the paves and the grains and everything. So look at different references, look at what works for you, and I'll do some eyeballing and work with what I have. And you could also create some custom materials in your case. So yeah, so for the pave I'll just go for the concrete. Oops, not like that. I accidentally changed the asphalt, so I'll change it back. And for this I'll do a concrete pave. So I'll try to find what works and what doesn't. That's ugly. That's for the walls. Or we could always go and try to find a material from the internet or like shoot our own photo. I think this could work, but this works. Let's change the scale a little. So double click on the material and go on show more, and then you could change a lot of stuff. I think that works. And for this I'll use some white concrete. So go for concrete and then use one of these maybe. Yeah, that could work. I'm trying to find something that doesn't have any groove. So yeah, that's a bit better. And then we need to change the soil, of course. So I'll do a nature material in this case. Yep. So there are some soils right there. You could use any of those. They're really nice. And for the water, I think it has already picked a water. So, but you could always go over the various and select one water that you like. So let's see which one works. Yeah, that works for me. All right. Now for the fun part, we get to kind of place some grass. So before you do any like modeling stuff in Lumion, always hit the save changes, otherwise all of your materials will be gone. So do that. And now let's go to nature and search for the grass that we want to place. So I'll go for something that looks a bit like buffalo grass. It's hard to find, but let's see if we get anything. And that kind of works. It's a bit out of scale, which is good because we get to change the scale. So hit scale and like turn it down. And then we can always copy this. So yeah, now we just copy. And that looks nice. And I'll also bring some flower to just add some variations. So I'll just hit place and try to see what kind of flower that we get. So get something a bit colorful. But that's still grass or something. If you can find anything local, that would be great. But I doubt we have anything. Let's see. I don't think we have any. But if you find something, let me know. If you think something works, let me know. And we could also add some fine detail nature. Yeah, that could work. Some ferns or something like that. Remember to scale. Remember that for fine detail nature, it will take up a lot of your memory, so be mindful while using them. You can't use them as much as you can the normal foliage, so keep that in mind. Yeah, I think we are done with the plants. So let's add some human from people and animals. So hit place and see what works. If you want to do some animation, you could always add like a human figure like that, but as we're going for like a still render, we could always like get a 2D image of a human, so that I think that works maybe. But we could also look into something else. Yeah, that works. So I think that's uh, that's it for me in modeling. And now let's go for the rendering. So I'll hit the custom style and hit realistic. And there are a lot of effects that we could talk about, but our target is to create a realistic um, sectional axonometric view of a GI. So for the orthographic view or the isometric view or the axonometric view, hit this and hit enabled so that it's orthographic. Remember to zoom in. Yeah, that works. And now you can see that we have a problem with the background. So if you want to change the background, you could do that from the build mode, and let me show you how. So to change the background, open Photoshop and create a new file. You can choose any template because all we are gonna do is change the background to white, plain simple white. So I'll just create a letter that is white, and then file, save as, and save it as a JPEG. So I'll save it on my computer. So save on your computer, which is a JPEG, and then I'll set the destination folder to the correct one. So I'll save it as BG and JPEG, of course, and hit OK. And now we need to bring that into Lumion. So go back into Lumion, go back into build mode, go to landscape, and like you can see that our main problem with the Lumion is this green grass. but we need a plain simple white background instead of this grass. So I'll just edit type and custom diffuse and then hit on this BG and it will load. So I think we're done. So you can see that it has become white. So I'll go to the photo mode. You can see that it's white now. And we still need to do a bit more work with the lighting because you can see that human looks very dark. We'll go back and change the direction or the heading of the sky. Okay, that looks okay. And if you are not happy with the like isometric view, you could always go back and like disable the orthographic view so that it's a sectional perspective that way. And with the angle, you could always change the like position of the sky so that you don't see the sky. And also you could like get the sky and create a sky alpha map so that you can delete the sky later. But I think this looks good, so I'll go with this. And I'll just store the camera and simply hit render. And I'll do and as I was talking about the sky alpha map, like you can see that there are different channels. So if you want to change different materials or anything like that, you could always do that. So I'll get one sky alpha map, although we don't need it for this. And of course I'll get material ID map so that we can have the editability options inside Photoshop. So remember to do that. This is way easier to edit than kind of selecting custom stuff different times. And I'll hit a bit larger resolution and hit render. So let's say that it's 001. And you can see that it's way better quality than it showed in the preview. You can see that the sky alpha map is black because we don't have any sky. If we had any sky, the portion of the skies would be white. You can see that there are solid colors for material ID. So now we have different stuff for different channels. So you can see that the 001 is this image right here, which is pretty good itself. We could directly take it into Photoshop and like work with it, but we could also like change it the way we want to. So yeah, and you can see that the material ID looks something like this. Each and every specific material is of one single solid color, so that's it. That it's way easier to edit, and we'll do some editing as well. And that's just the background. So now it's the most interesting part. We're going to get everything inside Photoshop and edit them as a diagram. So let's drag and drop the files that we have made. Let's try to find them first. Yeah, right there. So you can see I'll just create large thumbnails. So this is gonna be our base layer, and these are our helper layers so that we can like edit the way we want them to be. So I'll just drag and drop it inside Photoshop just like that. And I'll also get the material ID as well. So just like that on top of it, remember to bring this on top of that. And don't worry about this. This is in such a place we could just delete it. So you can see that this is a smart object. You could make it a rasterized object by right-clicking and rasterize layer. But at this point we don't need it, so I'll just keep it that way. The first thing I'm gonna do is remove everything as a background, so I'll just hit this, go to select and color range, and hit on the orange inside the canvas and hit OK. And I'll come to the background layer. You can see that the background is locked. There are multiple ways I could do this. One of the easiest ways is just double clicking on it to make it unlocked and then hit delete so that it doesn't have any background at all. Now we might need to do some color adjustment, but before that I'll just hit on the marquee tool and then select the Lumion logo that has been bothering us and hit delete and hit Ctrl D. So now we have like non-watermarked uh, image for ourselves. Uh, Always remember to save, so Ctrl S, so that our work, if for some reason is crashed, we have something left. So I'll save it on my computer and save it here. Hit OK. So now we could create some adjustment layers just like that. So go over curves. I think this image needs to be brightened and also a bit more contrast. Also, I'll create a hue saturation so that it's a bit less saturated. But also I need the greens to be highlighted. So remember that black in adjustment layers mean uh, zero opacity and white means 100%, so that you can see everything here in this small rectangle is white. This represents that it's fully masked. But now we could just paint over the greens, so hit on B or just get a brush and just get a basic soft brush so that we could work with it and get the foreground color as black and just do that. That kind of works. I think we could go for, yeah, this works perfectly, so that only the vegetation is kind of focused. Yeah, so this creates a nice schematic. And we could also kind of get some more saturation on this by control clicking. You can see that it has selected everything except for the grass. So control clicking selects the objects that are in a specific layer. So hit Ctrl Shift I to inverse selection so that it only selects the green. And then we could create another hue saturation layer and make it a bit more saturated, like so. So it's a bit more like that. And we could always create some like black for the places we did not want it to be saturated, so like that. So I think that works nicely. And now we need to kind of create some more interesting watery diagrams. So for this, my weapon of choice is always the lasso. You could also use the pen, but all we need to do is show that the water is flowing towards that specific direction. So I'll create that. And now what I'm gonna do is create a blue gradient over this in a separate layer. And yeah, basically that's it. And I need to create a new layer so that it's not black and white. So yeah. So go to the gradient and you can see that the gradient is from blue to white. We don't need that. We need from blue to transparent, and then do a gradient like that, or maybe like this, whichever works. Yeah, this works just fine. And change the layer blend mode. So I always try to make it overlay so that it looks kind of realistic and natural. So you could do another lasso selection on that side and do the same thing basically on the same layer, so that you don't need to change the direction of your or the blend mode. And now we could just paint over here to kind of understand the flow of the water. Yeah, that works. And uh, you could create some arrows and texts to annotate your GI. So yeah, I'll do those as well. So for arrows and texts, text is pretty straightforward. You just hit text and write. But for arrows, there is a very interesting trick that I try to use. So you could always use the pen tool, and I like dotted arrows. So yeah, remember that instead of path, that it's in shape, and I'll create a white arrow maybe for now. Yeah, that no, that doesn't work. That's black. I needed to change the color of the stroke into white, and yeah, now this should work just fine. Yeah, I like that. And as you can see that it has like different direction. So if you want to make it pinpoint precise, you could always hit Control and then change the direction. So yeah, so this in our case would represent the direction of the flow of the water. All right, this works. Yeah, and let's do those as well. And remember that we don't need any fill, so do that. This works. And now just write whatever you need to write. And you could also create direction for like water infiltration through soil. So I'll do that too. Yeah, just like that. And create some arrows as well. That kind of works. And now let's just write the text, which is which. In this case, it's a plants filter and transpire water while enhancing the streetscape. So I'll just write it down as a title. So this is our title, and this is the flow of stormwater direction. So stormwater from roadway flows into the green gutter. Let's make it white. And this is the same, but this is from sidewalk. And then this right here is the water infiltrates through soil. Remember to create some contrast. So yeah, that works, I think. Yeah, that kind of works. So we have our diagram. Let's save the Photoshop file alongside a PNG file. So hit Ctrl Alt S, save it on your computer, and hit on PNG. So that's how you create a sectional perspective diagram of a GI, a very basic and generic GI.